welcome to this edition of the Island Stat Sports Show. I'm your host, Earl Baston. Joining me is co-host Jason Juggling J. Ford. This evening we have with us the president of the Bermuda Karting Federation, Mr. Scott Barnes, and we have also with us two junior kart drivers and their parents. So first of all, Juggler.
Yes.
I was down at Southside on Sunday, and I happened to be in attendance when both of these young men were taken to the course or the track. I'm sorry, to get their race underway, and it was something to see because in their warm up, kids played, and both of them they had the carts going left, right, getting in all their turns on the straight, and it was something to see because they're young and they're still playful. But when the checkered flag, when the flag dropped, it was all business. So I mean, I just want to hear from them this evening about that junior program. We're going to hear from the president as well and the parents because the junior program in the karting club is something that is growing, and it's growing rapidly fast. We've seen a lot of the people go from juniors to cadets and then on and on and on. But we're going to hear from these youngsters tonight because they're the future guys, and that's what we want to hear from. So first of all, Mr. President, the karting club having these two youngsters involved in that junior class and that junior program for the club, what does it mean?
I mean, it's everything. This is the future of our club. Without kids involved in any sport, you don't have a future, right? So it's very important to myself as president, the rest of the committee, that we try to grow our junior program as much as we can. Seeing Tanner there, 6 years old. Jonah now this year stepped up from our smallest class last year. Won the championship. Now he's stepping his way up into the next class. So it's great to see these kids grow and come along in the class. I've seen so many of what are now senior drivers starting from 8 years old, watching these kids grow up, and now I'm racing against them, making myself feel old. But like I said, without the junior program, we don't have a future. So it's very important to us to see it grow.
Sure. Jay, you want to jump in first?
Well, sure. This one I'm going to say for the youngsters because many moons ago, Earl, I think I may have told you many moons ago, I actually raced go-karts when I was probably just a little bit older than these guys.
They're battery operated, right?
Up at Naval Annex.
Battery operated, guys.
Also down at National Sports Club. We had to put some nubbies on the tires back then.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going back a little while. But I didn't stay in it longer because obviously it never grew. And that's something that I want to ask for you youngsters first, Jonah and Tanner. What's your favorite part about being down the track? Because one of the things that got me, I just love the smell of gas and oil together. So is it the mechanics? Is it the smell? Or is it the speed? Which one is it?
Jonah, you can go first, Jonah.
Well, it's usually a good environment down there in general. Most people are really nice, and it's been in my family, so I've been down the track all the time. And once I was old enough, and my mom let me, I started racing, and now this is my third year, so it's been going for a little while now.
Well, hold up, Jonah, hold up. So close your eyes. Mommy's not here. Do you like the speed?
Hold on.
Girls that come down there? Or you like to be
Jay, you're trying to get the guy in trouble. His mama said
Mama's not listening right now.
Well, it is fun. I like the speed. It's certainly a jump moving up from cadets to tag junior now, though, because these carts are a lot faster than cadet. So,
and Jonah comes from a karting family. His mom used to race back when I started. She started with me, 12 years old, and then his Tanya's dad, Jonah's uncle, was racing back in the late 90s, early 2000s. So he's from a karting family.
Sure. All right, Tanner, your turn.
Your turn, Tanner.
What you like the best?
Okay.
No, answer the question. The gentleman actually, you answered the first on. What did you say? What do you?
Said the speed.
All right, he likes his speed. Yeah.
Well,
I guess it's all, ain't it?
Yeah. Enthusiast.
I want to ask because we have the parents here, and that's good because here's an opportunity for them to talk about their experience of watching their young people on the track. Obviously, you've already said that Jonah's mom was involved in racing, but now being on the other side and watching your son race, I mean, when you would have raced, nerves of steel, but when your son is racing, how are you as a quote unquote spectator now?
Well, it's totally different. I must say, I can honestly say that I understand how my mom used to feel when I used to race. So yeah, I mean, I was driving at this age as well. Did it for quite a number of years with my dad, Jonah's grandpa, and it was always great getting out on the track. And he loves speed, but he's also much like his mummy because she loves speed too. So that's and his pa. So that we all enjoy that environment down there, the going fast, that smell of the fuel, like all of those things, they trigger something, and they trigger memories for me even. So being down there is awesome. Spending time with my son, getting a chance to see him on the track, and prepare to go out it's always something that bonds us and keeps us together, and at the same time watching him, it gives me great joy to see him excelling and driving at his very best. So I'm a proud mummy, and it makes me nervous sometimes, but I'm a proud mummy.
Sure. All right, Philip.
Yeah, I mean,
There's your opportunity.
Yeah, it is. I'm quite a speed demon myself in all different aspects. I mean, I followed a race, an orange race.
Right.
I did go-kart race many years ago. In 2006 was, I think, the one and only year I go-kart race. It's nice to see them truly enjoying themselves all the way from the ride home to the track, in the truck, with the trailer, conversation, the whole lead up to the race, practicing. It's quite good thing to see participate with your kid. You know what I mean? Like Tanya will say, it's been in their family for years. I mean, I've been going to the go-kart track, supported a brother of mine and an uncle for years. I mean, all the way from when I was Tanner's age, I used to sneak into the truck in the morning so my mom couldn't tell me no to go with my uncle to the go-kart track if we didn't have a horse show or anything on. So, it's definitely one of those things that, as much as I want to see him do good, I mean, he's only little. So, he's quite brave for a little guy, but, I definitely try to give him he needs to do well,
Sure. Well, one thing's for sure, he just about reaches the top of the cart when it's
Yeah, I don't know how many juniors the karting club has had that is that small, but all in though, he loves it. I mean, he was on top of the world this weekend. He had a pretty good race weekend. So he was quite excited, and it's one of those things that it's money well spent and time well spent when you get your kids truly,
Well, Jay, Tanner would have had the opportunity to see both his father and his uncle in the same race before his race, battle it out. So
yeah, it's a family affair. It's it turned into we're gonna let Tanner race go-karts, and then it was like, well, I might as well get one, and then I was probably into buying one. It's like one kid triggered 3 more go-karts. It's a good thing for the sport, I guess.
Yeah. So Scott, clearly, you guys have been working very hard to improve the numbers, and one of the ways to do that is to build that youth program, the junior program. Just looking at it, how do you guys plan to manage that and make it grow even more?
Well, we started last year. The club actually purchased all the junior carts that were laying around, not being used because these kids are stepped up to the next classes. So the club went out and spent some money and purchased these carts, and now we have them available for kids 6 to 12 years old that want to come down and try it for themselves and test it out before they have to purchase their own cart. So we have race-ready carts ready to rent for kids 6 to 12. Like I said, they can come out, try it out. That's how Jonah got started. He did a whole season of renting one of our club carts. And then, he said he was committed. His mom and dad made the purchase of their own cart last year, and now they're, in the full swing of it. So just trying to make it as cheap and easy as possible for kids to try it out before they have to purchase their own stuff is the key thing. And just trying to the awareness, getting out to the people that, hey, this is available. This is a sport that your son or daughter can get involved if they like to speed, like to drive. Come on down and try it out.
Sure. Jay?
Yeah, President, I'm wondering, have you guys looked as far as an association side of? I know we're probably in early stages of your junior program, but also a pathway to being a professional per se, getting out of the island to race internationally, because obviously you can get stagnant racing against the same guys down here after a while, as you know for yourself personally. Sometimes you're going to have to get off the island and go to some of these junior races around, especially on the East Coast or whatever's feasible. Is that something that the association is looking to partner up with some of the associations off island?
I mean, it's kind of hard with our sport because it's not doing like a team sport like you would soccer or anything like that. But we're definitely encouraging all of our drivers, juniors and seniors, to get off island. Go out and try these races. It's great to help out with your driving skill. You learn so much when you go overseas and you're racing against more drivers, better drivers. Not saying our drivers aren't good, but the numbers, the fields are bigger. So you just get that experience out there. You could bring it back here and learn from it in Bermuda. I'm always encouraging our drivers to go overseas and try to get that experience. But as far as the club, it's kind of hard, like I said, to team up with other clubs away, if you will.
Yeah. So Jonah, let me ask you, as my co-host already said, your mom's not next to you. Who gives you best advice?
Well, it really depends what you're talking about. If it's how to drive the car, or if it's
drive the car. Who gives you the best advice about driving the car?
Well, usually I have to talk to somebody about it first, but once I do, I would say probably my pa, who is my mechanic, because he can help me to feel out the car better and help tune the car better for me.
Yeah. Well, he was one of the first ones to you on Sunday to give you that advice about how you were driving, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, Tana, who gives you the best advice?
My uncle or my dad.
Okay. Which one gives you the best though? Who gives you the best advice?
What is Potter?
It's almost, you can say,
You ain't letting this baby down.
who gives you the best advice?
So what we're going to do, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we're going to have more with members of the Bermuda Karting Club. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends, and that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
And welcome back. Lord Scott, I got it back. So, Scott, seeing these youngsters, and I'm pretty sure throughout your lifetime, you've seen the club from their eyes right through to where you are today. What are you hoping impresses them and encourages others to get involved with the club?
Oh, you just want to see them have a good time, right? And make a passion of their sport, right? To me, I started racing when I was 12, and I knew right away this is a sport for me. This is my passion. This is my sport. So you want to see these kids kind of get that same feeling and get hooked onto the sport, and then as they get older, encourage the younger kids behind them to do the same thing. You just want to see them having a good time, being safe, and enjoying what they love to do.
Yeah, being in that car. Sometimes you're out in front, sometimes you're in the middle, and sometimes you're in the back. But the experience, what is the experience like for you? Because I want to ask these two youngsters what their experience has been like.
Yeah, to me, the main thing is when I put that helmet on and I'm behind that wheel, that's the only thing I'm focused on. I'm not focused on work. I'm not focused on the stress of life or bills I got to pay or anything else. I'm focused on that race and that moment and that time. Everything else kind of just fades away for that, 10 minutes race or whatever it is. I'm focused on then and the now and what I have to do in that race.
Sure.
Kind of just a way to get away from all the stress of life.
Okay. And we know that life is offered a lot of stress. But Tanner, let me ask you, when you get to go ahead to drive out of the pits, what goes through your mind?
Nothing really? Not that you want to go racing?
He wants to go fast.
So fast, that's it.
So Tanner, when you get out onto the track, you're going around for that quote unquote warm-up lap, and then you get to the start line. What are you thinking? Are you thinking I'm not going to lose this race, or I need to just stay focused? What are you thinking?
Not focused, and I'll just try my best.
Okay, all right. And Jonah, for you, when you go ahead to get out of the pits, and before you actually get onto the track, what goes through your mind?
Well, I usually probably think mostly about how the race is going to play out, where I'm going to be starting, how I could possibly get past or get a better start than the other person that's next to me. And then that's probably it. Usually try to think about it, try to remember if I did everything, like my tire pressures and stuff. And yeah.
Okay. Jay?
All right, guys, I'm going to give you the easy questions now because I always give you all these hard questions trying to figure out. So this is for Tanner and Jonah, okay? 2 questions. Got me? Who is your favorite driver down the track? And who's your favorite NASCAR driver? Tanner, go.
So I don't fully understand this.
Well, who's your favorite driver at the track? Do you have a favorite driver? You must. Dad. Dad must be the favorite driver.
That's pressure. That's pressure. Come on. That's pressure.
So Dad must be the favorite one. But is there somebody you like to see race down the track?
Uncle Jason or my dad.
All right. And Uncle Jason's just come back out driving, isn't it?
Yeah. Shook the dust off.
Yeah.
Of the bank account. But it goes. NASCAR, he doesn't really watch NASCAR.
Okay.
Jonah, your time.
Okay.
My favorite driver down the track is probably Scott.
Probably.
Well, because you didn't say that I couldn't pick myself, so.
That's right. Have confidence in yourself.
I like that.
Right?
You can pick it. Jonah, you can pick yourself if you want. You can pick yourself.
Myself then.
Then Scott.
That's my team drivers.
Okay. Do you have a NASCAR driver?
I don't really watch NASCAR that much. But I do watch Formula One. My favorite Formula One driver is Max Verstappen.
Okay. See that, Jay? They like NASCAR's got those closed-in vehicles. Formula One's got those open vehicles. That's what they like.
Ask Scott what you grew up on. Scott, what did you grow up on? Formula One or NASCAR, Scott?
NASCAR. I don't watch it now because it's kind of gone soft. But
yeah, you're right. I don't watch it now either. You're right.
I was a Dale Jr. fan.
Me too. Senior and junior.
Once he stopped racing, I kind of stopped watching. Never really got into F1. I watch it here and there. I like Lewis Hamilton, Verstappen, both former go-kart drivers.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'm going to go back and ask the parents a quick question. So, prior to your young people getting involved in the sport, everyone has a routine that they go through before they race. So, what was yours? What did you do? And then, do you see your young person like doing some of the stuff you've done before a race that you kind of done, and you say, oh, and you haven't even, talked them through that part. So let's see if you've recognized what your young people do similar to what you used to do.
I guess in the morning on the way down or before we leave, I would say the first thing is he does a run through, a check of whether he's got all his gear. Mm-hmm. That's something that I used to do in the mornings as well. It's like, okay, I've got my helmet, I've got my suit, I've got my shoes, I've got my gloves, I've got my neck brace, got my chest protector. We're ready to go. And then I used to sort of do the same thing as well when I used to head down before we headed down, because I knew, and I think he knows too, that if you don't have your gear, you're not racing, because you need your gear. And that's probably one of the things that I noticed. I never told him to do, but he just started doing it on his own. He knew what he needed to do in order to have a chance at having a great day.
Sure. Well done.
What I would say, Earl, is because I'm not that much, go-karts is kind of new for me, but watching Tanner in this new journey that he's on, from my experience from the other sports that I did compete in or do compete in, he's very much at home with it, meaning, he gets in the car and he does his job. He doesn't overthink things. He's very confident for the most part of just, he follows instructions and does what he's told. And I could kind of relate to that growing up. Obviously I had people over me watching out for me. And it was like, we were here to do a job and we got the job done and we had a blast doing it, and he's very much like that.
Okay. Now, Jay, I don't know if you know, Philip has these two horses that he kind of they do jumping, but he likes to race them. When I say over the fences and all, but you think those horses are faster than these carts?
No.
Maybe not on the straight, but around the corner, because I'm seeing you jump a fence and take off. So
to be totally honest, I mean the harness racing is actually quite fast and tricky. You got to think about it. I mean, in go-karts, you would have an 8 to 10 or 12 lap race, where in racing ponies, you have a minute to either lose it or win it.
right
So,
now, I'm also talking about your over the fences horses.
I don't know. Yeah, over the fences horse is quite fast if you really want to put a mile an hour on it. But I mean, it's not as fast as a shifter go-kart by any means.
Well,
but,
you get a lap lead. You get a lap lead. How's that? You get a lap lead.
It's pretty much you're riding 1,000cc go-kart. 125.
Listen, pull the spark plug, you'll be all right. so Scott, what would you like the general public who may see something in their young person that they might want to get involved? What do you envision them doing, or how can they become involved in the karting club?
Well, basically, just want to let them know that it's easier than they may think to get involved. We have, like I said, rental carts available. Everyone down at the track is very friendly. We'll help you out to get you started. Everyone thinks motorsports. They think, oh, it's expensive. It's expensive. It is expensive, yes, to get involved, but we have ways of trying to keep the cost down. We are the cheapest motorsport on the island when it comes to the three motorsports. But yeah, I mean, it's easy, like I said, to get involved. Just hit us up. There's people down there that will help you out, get you sorted. If you don't know what you're doing mechanically wise, there's people down there that are willing to help you out and kind of adopt you into their teams and show you the ropes and help you get started. So, don't think it's impossible if you don't know how to, tune a go-kart. We'll help you out. We'll get you started. Just hit us up and we'll put you in the right direction.
Yeah, I think, Jay, that's important, because what happens a lot, especially the adult side, they don't want their young person to know that they're not good at something. So what they tend to do is stay away from it. But clearly, as Scott has said, there's opportunities there that somebody will help you and show you as an adult what you need to do for your young person to be involved in the sport, especially if they're really, really interested in it. It's open. It's a family. Am I right, Scott?
100% a family atmosphere down there. Like Philip said, he was just getting his son involved, and he got a kart. He got his brother back out, and one day Tanya might come back out. But the whole family supports everyone down there. You're coming down to watch your son or daughter. You may get involved and drive yourself. You may not, but you're their pit crew, right? You're there to support them. So it's very much a family sport, and it's that everyone's willing to help out.
Sure. Final question, Jay?
And it's one of the safer motorsports on the island.
Sure.
Okay, so my final question is actually for Jonah, because I heard him say a few things relating to the kart itself. So I knew when I was racing, I had a few chores, I won't say chores, but a few things I had to do for the kart myself. You mentioned about your tires, and I had to do gas. And what's some of the things that you have to maintain your car? Because I'm pretty sure your mechanic's not doing everything. What do you, Jonah? How are you maintaining your cars? What do you do?
Well, usually before a race day, before we pack everything in the trailer, which is usually day before, maybe the day before that if we have time, whatever. But usually what we do is we'll just go over everything, just check everything before we get down there, make sure there's nothing, no nuts and bolts missing, especially if we were working on it in between the race days. So I usually go around and just check things, or the area that we were working on. And then obviously you always want to check your tire pressures, because those need to be done. So down the track before practice, we usually set them and it's usually good for the day. Sometimes we have to add a little bit more, but as long as it's within like a point 4 of a range, it's good. But sometimes it can go up, like if you leave your tire, like if the sun's coming out underneath your tent or something, it gets to one of your tires, whatever. The tire pressure's done up too high, so you got to make sure it's in the shade, and your tires don't get heated up too much before you go out the race. Oh, and you got to make sure the chain's lubed, it's not too loose, as well as I don't usually do this by myself, but we have to make sure that we mix the gas and stuff properly, and then we put the gas in the car and stuff like that.
Yeah, I had the same jobs. I had them.
But you had to plug yours in. Use battery operated.
I'm pretty sure
That's how long ago you raced. Battery operated.
Earl, so let me tell you, Earl, I'm pretty sure there's a lot easier now how to start these things. But back then, they used to lift your back wheel up and push you and then drop you down. That's how they used to start the cars back then, buddy.
Oh,
right. So I'm pretty sure now it's just a little hook up and your old baby probably got electric start now.
Push button now.
You see?
Well, I mean, a couple of years ago, Scott, correct me if I'm wrong, but before you used to have a starter that you used to plug into the or push into the engine, get it revving up. But nowadays, it looks a lot easier.
Yeah, the tag carts are push button starts. That what you were talking about is kind of the backup if your battery dies. The shifting carts bump them in gear. The kick carts are all push button starts now, so it's easy now.
Okay,
a lot easier.
Yeah. Well, I want to thank you guys very, very much. Anything you want to leave everyone with, Scott?
No, just like I said, if your son or daughter, because it's not just for the boys, it's for the girls too. If they're interested, have any if they love speed, they love the drive, just hit us up and we'll get you started and we'll help you out and get you on your way. Like I said, it's a great family sport for everyone involved in the family. So just if you want to try it out, kids and even adults, we're looking for new adults too. It's a growing sport. We had 37 carts last race day. So yeah, just want to have some fun and enjoy some speed. Come out and get started.
I think that's important, Jay, because we often, in our day-to-day travels, we see guys on bikes and cars that are going a tad bit fast. But here's an opportunity to do it in a controlled environment and have fun doing it legally, in a way. There's an opportunity that's being offered. So for those people who consider themselves good drivers, good riders and all that, the Bermuda Karting Federation is there for you. See what you can do legally on a track. Yeah.
You want to do 80 plus miles an hour legally and safely. Don't do it on the road. Come down to the track and show us what you got.
Sure. Well, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us this evening. We look forward to you being on the track again next week.
November 13th is our next race day.
Sure. Okay. All right. So Tana and Jonah, Jason's coming. Jason's coming to be in the car.
Thanks a lot, guys. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to take another commercial break, and when we come back, we will hopefully be joined by the former director of Youth and Sport, Mr. Norbert Simons. We'll be right back.
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
And welcome back. Well, while we wait for Mr. Simons to join us, Jay, just listening to those youngsters, it's really encouraging that someone such as Tanner would be involved at 6 years old, because Scott said, he got involved at the age of 12. So here's somebody half his age getting involved.
But Earl, I mean, that talks more to the family, right? That's
right.
Kids always want to, for the first part, they want to emulate their parents, right? So when you have a family unit that's involved in any sport or any activity, the first thing the kid wants to do is try to be like them for the most part. Obviously, you got some kids who want to do totally the opposite, right? But that's when just being around, like I said, just being around and knowing that's my dad. Because when you look at it, especially for young boys, and this is where it's important for the father-son, most of the time that's your hero. That's your first hero, right?
Right.
That's your first hero. So that bonding that happens, and not only with the boys, but also with young ladies too, right? If you have that bonding going on at that age, it does so well, and because it teaches you so much. And one thing about any sport that we play, there is a lesson in losing, right?
Right.
How do the character? That's where your character comes out. How do you take? Nobody likes to lose, but how do you react to that? And I say that because when we talk about the lessons of life, Earl, how many times you've been turned down for a job?
Yeah.
Does that stop you?
No, not at all.
You know what I'm saying? So these are the same things that when you're 6 years old and you didn't come first, they tell you it's all right. You got to keep trying to get. We still use those tools today, and that is something that I think that's very important that we keep trying to push, because I'd rather have that unit together than our youngsters having no guidance at 6 years old or 7 years old.
Yeah, but it's important. But we heard even Philip say, he got involved because that's something that his son saw that he wanted to do, and obviously Jason, the uncle, had been in karting for a while, got out of it, and it was so good to see him back involved that now here's 3 of them, and they all now have something to talk about their particular race on the race day.
Earl, I don't care if you're fueled by the adrenaline, any adrenaline sport, right? That really never leaves you, right? You still feel the adrenaline. The only thing that probably leaves you is your nerve.
Right.
No matter what sport it is, it's your nerves. So when you're young, and you whatever. But after a while, after a couple of lumps, you start, I don't know if I'm gonna do that anymore. Or right? So in saying that, I mean, you love to see. I don't care. I'm pretty sure when Scott gets 50, he still might want to drive,
right?
But I don't know if he wants to go that fast, and I don't know how it's gonna feel the next day, right?
Oh, so, they have a senior and a master's division, so
my point. But after it's a certain age, somebody says, okay, let's hold the checker flag now. That's all you need to do. Support everybody else and just hold the checkered flag.
I thought you would have been the one that would have said you'll be down there this weekend, and that's what your job would have been.
Hey, anything is possible. I will tell you one story, and I brought up the international side of it because a good friend of mine, Sean Pirot, used to race. And he had some connections with some people out in Atlanta, Georgia, right? And it was a family, a karting team or whatever. So what would happen is that instead of him moving his car from here to overseas, he ended up racing one of their cars over there every time he went over there. So I ended up going with him to a race. It was actually Talladega's in Alabama.
Right.
The big track Talladega. But just before you get to the main track is a go-karting track. So I came down there I drove all the way to Alabama to watch him race. And I'm laughing at him because, Sean's a man and he's got a shifter. And down here, he was doing pretty good.
Right.
But then in the same race, he had a little kid that was on an 80 shifter whooping him.
Oh.
I'm like, well, how this is happening? And what happens is that, and I'm talking about the age difference. So this little kid, probably 11, 12 maybe, right? And he's 30 plus, I'll be honest. But what was happening is that during those races, Sean's cart will be weighed down a lot more. All right? So you basically have a lot of ballast on his cart to make it competitive. So Sean's cart, obviously, with a 125 shifter, will be able to, make up the room going down stretches.
Right.
Through the corners, that little 80 shifter was going through there like zip, 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 zip. Where Sean had to do a lot of braking and this, that, and the other. So you see the competition, and then you had the carts where you lay all the way back. I haven't seen none of them down here yet.
Right.
Yeah, you must do that one.
Yeah.
But that laid all the way back, and so it's amazing the evolution of karting. And once again, I recommend if you're into any motorsport, is to get off the island. February there used to be a big contingency of guys going up for Supercross,
right,
and going racing. And even power boats, you see that in power boats they used to happen all the time too. So I think just if you're into motorsports, it's always, or any sport, okay, to go off island and test yourself, because you want to see what you are up against the rest,
Definitely, that it's an opportunity. I mean, we see Scott Barnes constantly taking on opposition overseas, whether it be on the road or on a track, but just taking the opportunity to test himself, and he's done rather well in doing so. And it just goes to show that if you're dedicated to your sport, you can actually grow in the sport, both locally and internationally.
Yeah. Now I remember the days of Timmy Boyles. Timmy Boyles, I think, done quite well. I believe at Gatorback.
Yes.
Gatorback, and I remember a few guys have been up. Robbie had been up. Mulge had done good. Lady Mulge, Spencer done good there. Otis was going up quite often. If you look at power boating, you're looking at Chicken. You're looking at a few guys is going to best and north, off the East Coast there. So it's something that these sports you get. It's passion, right? That's what it comes down to. It's passion. Is it just a Sunday afternoon outing, or it's the need?
Take it seriously. A lot of people look at it as, it's just karting down the South Side. Guys are having fun, but they take racing serious. They take it because they want to be a winner. They want to do their best, and they make sure that everything, as you heard Jonah's mom, Jonah makes sure the day before he has everything needed to go down there and do his best. Because if you don't prepare, you already set yourself up for failure.
Exactly. And one thing, just listen to the young Jonah. He's very much in tune of what he needs done to the car. And if you listen to any good driver, they have to be in tune with their mechanic, right? They got to be able to tell the mechanic what's going on with the car, so the mechanic could adjust the car for them to be successful. Right. So that gives you in now through motor mechanics, right? Because you're learning all these things on the fly. So and by the time he gets a teenager, it's gonna come automatic, right? What's the mixture? What happens if you put too much oil over the gas? What did you do? What if you got too much air in those tires? Why did the carburetor's taking it too much air? All these different things. He gets to know, like I said, almost down to a millimeter, right? Back then, Earl, I hate to say this here, we're gonna age you now. We're gonna age you. But when you had your mobilette,
I'm younger than you.
Probably a Zondat back then, right? But no, honestly, when we used to take our blocks and start filing it up. Every hill we could find, we was filing.
But you know what was funny about that? At the beginning, you saw everybody doing it, and you asked questions. So then, without even asking how often or how long you have to do it, you just started doing it.
Just do it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you don't want your bike's on like the next person, so you get the
Next
engine
bike,
in, or you cut it, or you bend it, whatever. So, and I, a lot of that went, and I hate to say that, a lot of that went into the pack racing scene that we had here on the island. And I think one of the things that we could have combated it right away is have a drag strip. It's literally have a drag strip. That is big down south, especially in Alabama, these places. Friday night drag racing on a strip, and I mean all sorts of vehicles. And there's any vehicle you got.
When you say you got to be fastest, you're gonna go up against whoever else is fast. And at the end of the night, there's gonna be a winner. This week might be a car, next week might be a bike.
And Earl, you'd be surprised, families show up.
Oh yeah.
So once again, the need for speed, the adrenaline junkies, man, I don't care where you go in the world, you will find them. It doesn't matter if you come from Bermuda or somewhere like who knows, America, right? You're gonna find them, and that's why I praise all our motor clubs to making sure that there is a outlet.
Yeah, for the people.
Just like if there was an outlet, Earl, you're still gonna have the need for speed.
Well, we see that every day on the road.
Thank you.
Yeah. And more than likely it'll be worse.
Thank you.
So let's take another commercial break. When we come back, we'll continue this Island Stat Sports Show. We'll be right back.
Welcome to the new bulk store, Lindo's Next Level. Wake up in the morning with enough coffee to keep you running throughout the entire day. Your pet at home deserves the best. Stock up on dog food to keep your puppy happy. Need a quick, tasty lunch at home? Your chicken nuggets will be jumping right out of the freezer. What's a movie night without popcorn? You can never have too much. Lindo's Next Level. Why go anyplace else?
I'm also thankful and grateful because my greatest value of my life is my legacy.
But why I do it? I feel supposed to do it. I was put here to be here, to do what I'm doing right now. Once I see somebody moving, it's the greatest joy for me. There's a little person being born.
I am thankful that people have given me the trust, for me to empower them, from my players to my family to friends. And that's what I'm thankful for. I'm thankful that people have allowed me and trusted me to be in their life.
Putting down the weapons.
You seen this?
And welcome back. Well, Jay, we haven't been joined by the hold on. We now have a Bermuda Drag Racing Association at the track. Look at that.
Okay.
Yeah. An opportunity for people to get involved. And I'm glad that organizations are thinking outside the box to create an opportunity and an avenue to try to combat some of the things that are happening on our road. So I want to congratulate that organization and encourage them to make sure that the public is aware that they do it and that they can become involved and how they can, get involved. So, I'm glad that they're looking that avenue to help combat a lot of the reckless, as we would call it, reckless things that we see on our roads.
And Earl, even going a bit further than that, I think hopefully these type of sports, especially when you're talking about bikes and stuff, right? They even when we start seeing, we have a lot of distributors.
Yes.
Car distributors and bike distributors on the island.
An opportunity for them to get involved. Yeah.
To get involved and give back also, right? And it's something that, we expect a lot of other companies to give back to our community. Well, this is one of the ways you are part. You bring in these bikes, you bring in these cars, you bring in that need for speed. So I think this is an opportunity for a lot of our dealership, our bike dealerships and car dealerships to come down there and get involved in the motorsports, because I don't see too many of them being involved. And for whatever reasons, I don't know. But just from the outside looking in, I could be wrong. I could be stand to be corrected. But from over the years, Earl, we know of many cycle shops.
Sure.
And over the years, if we needed parts, where did we go?
Yeah.
But then we won't see those cycle shops sponsor a race.
Yeah. The same vehicle that they're selling, they don't sponsor. Yeah. Well,
Food for thought.
Yeah,
right?
it is. And you have a valid point. But it's something that we're hoping to encourage, because if they show that what they have to offer, the sales could possibly be higher next time around.
Well, you just said it, right? So when you go to some of these races, right, and you go to, take for instance, if you go to a supercross race, right, and you get a pit pass and whatever, brothers, prior to the race,
every dealer's in that pit.
Thank you. And guess what? They got all the new bikes.
That's right.
They might have ATVs out there. They might have the carts out there. All the vehicles they might supply, you're going to see them somewhere in during that weekend, right? Yeah, so once again, if you just take that template, you know what? An X company has X amount of bikes or styles of bikes. Well, guess what? We're going to sponsor this race day, and we're going to bring all our bikes down here, all inventory down, so that people can see.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's also a sales opportunity for that too. So it's something that I would just love to see more than just, I hate to say this, more than just families. Some of the corporate get involved, not just money, because money is
showing up and showing out. Yeah. You're right. It's not always about putting money in it. Sometimes if you show up with one of your products,
support.
Yeah, that's the support right there. Yeah.
Support, right? Yeah. And kids, when you talk about young people, you might tell them it costs this, but they don't know the value of that much, right? But if they see you there, they know the value of you being there and you not being there. They see that. So this is something that I'm hoping, especially like I said, in motorsports, because it is quite expensive, but support is everything, right? Support is everything. And the commercial support, it could be better from the outside looking in.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll probably get myself in trouble for saying it. But one of the things is that I think from the media side, we have to stop making some sports a filler and make it a priority. You leave that one alone. You leave that one alone. Leave that one alone. Leave that one alone.
Earl, it's unfortunate because once again, that's just passion, right? It comes down to passion.
Yeah.
And we could talk about, is it a hobby? Is it a job? Right. Some people just told you go do this and go do that. And they might be disgruntled with their boss. That's the least, right? But if it's a passion, if it's a hobby and a passion of yours, you can go and cover it like you want to cover it, right? So that's a hard conversation to have because.
Well, no, but if you're paid to do a job, you should do that job. Well, not because you like the sport, but if you're paid to do sports, that's your job. And we keep hating around that type of stuff. And as you heard the passion coming out because some of these people that do this job in covering sports only cover if the sport itself write it themselves, and that goes to a lot of sports.
So I'm gonna use you as the example now. I'm gonna use you as the example, right?
Right.
Who's your boss?
Me.
Who sets the standard?
Me.
That's the big problem right there for a lot of other people. They're not the boss, and they don't set the standard. So if the standard is low, when they come in, most times they're going to fall in place and stay with a low standard. Earl Bays. Okay, take for instance, when an international, for the sake of argument, when X company comes down there for PGA to cover the PGA. Now the standard is totally different in all aspects.
No. They just want people to think that they actually do it when they got a feed to make themselves look good.
Like I said, the standard is totally different, right?
Watch. You're gonna have over the next 4 days. You're gonna have a particular company talking about look at our feed, when it's a plug and play because they showed you no interest in local sports throughout the entire year, and they call themselves a community channel.
Well,
that's showing the community. They don't care two hoots about you.
You're preaching to the choir. I'm preaching to the choir. Yeah, I'm preaching to the choir. I mean, I could say a lot. You know, I could say a lot of things about that, but
I do want to.
I don't waste my energy on what they're not doing.
Me neither. But I think sometimes some things have to be said because people need to understand that their sport, a sport that they are passionate about, how it is perceived.
Well,
and if
Earl,
you look at it,
so Earl, as we know, a lot of our, especially media now, and not just media, just all facets of life. It's take for instance, we say sport, but now it's split up in so many different areas now, right?
Yeah.
So even if you say journalism, right? There's so many different types of journalism now, right?
Yeah.
And people, once upon a time, you had to cover everything.
Yeah.
You had to be knowledgeable, at least not know everything, but be knowledgeable. Be well-rounded, as you say. But in this day and age, it's almost okay. You're just doing political, or you're just the ambulance chaser. You're just for this, and you're just for that. And once again, that's where I go towards the management side of you, right? The management side. What is the standard for that company? What is the goal for that company? When the company does,
if you're doing good, they don't want no parts of you. If you're doing bad, they'll. Yeah.
When the company doesn't have a plan.
Yes.
When the company can't tell you what it wants to do within the next 5 years. When the company can't tell you what we even want to concentrate on. When the company can't even tell you we've got X, Y, and Z coming up because they don't know because they're waiting for somebody else to give them something, then there's a problem. You're a little bit different because you're your own boss. You know all your calendars of the sports that you want to make sure that you cover and you keep up, whether they're here, overseas or not. If they're Bermudian, you're trying to keep up. That's a different beast. And that's what I'm saying. That's why I go back to the company side of it. The individual is sort of hard because if that person, you know this too, if the person is into swimming, they are going to take a biasness to covering swimming.
Right.
If the person's into football, they're going to take a biasness into covering football. They might cover something. They might cover something else, but they're not going to be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You're a bit different. You're a bit different. You want to make sure that everybody gets an equal show, whether they give it to you or not. You give them the opportunity. That's a different piece. And I say that there because I watch a lot of sports shows, and all of them have a certain what they're going to focus on.
Yes.
Some are maybe more NFL, some may be more NBA, some may be more hockey, depending on what their strengths are. That show is good for that. So I don't complain on where they want to do it. My thing is, what's the standard?
Right.
Don't give me a half job covering the kids, but you want to go all out on the seniors.
Well, we see that every day. So, yeah.
That's right. That's where I feel bad.
Yeah. Well, last night we had a show that looked at the life of Mr. Charlie Marshall, one person that we all know, love, respected, just his demeanor, just his way about him. What would you say your best interaction with Mr. Marshall was? As we know, he passed over the weekend. So what would you say?
It's amazing because growing up around football like we did, Earl, we saw him as this figure, right? This authoritative figure, man. Watch him take control of 22 players on the field. And we know these guys, and really have control over these guys, right? So he was always like this myth amongst the young people because it's like, hey, certain referees, like, they don't take no mess, right?
Right.
and he had this aura about him as I was growing up. But obviously, in the later years, in media and coming to some of the tournaments and having those conversations with him, he was sort of a gentle giant.
Yes. Yeah.
Right? And he was willing to have those conversations with you, right?
Mm-hmm.
And just not even just on football, but just life conversations like, hey, how you doing? How you making out? I mean, I got to see him a few years ago. I want to say prior to just when COVID was starting out, and he knew what I did. It says, Jay, how you making out? It's like, hey, it ain't easy, you know. And just to know that he was even asking,
right,
showed you the type of person he was, right? Me and him, we didn't play marbles together. Far from it.
Right. Right.
But to know that he was even asking just as a human to ask those type of questions is something that I always remember because, like I said, it changed my perception of what I thought he was.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know, I thought he was a very strict disciplinarian and this, that, and the other. But then when you start learning, when I remember he was doing so much with the World Cup campaign that Bermuda was in,
right.
You know, getting the edge of sponsorship and stuff. I think it was, you know, we had some big sponsorship back then. It was, you know, a lot of things that went. And look what happened. That's as far as we ever went. Coincidentally, I wonder why nobody else figured this out. It's probably a little harder to do it, but in saying that, I mean, he's always been arm's length. I mean, Earl, I don't know if you was there about. I want to say it had to be just before COVID. You know, I'd always give my time to, at the time, Boris and Lightborn. They was always one of the sponsors of the Earl Boys game, football.
Yes.
And I remember the year that he was number one honored.
Yes.
But he refereed a lot of those games.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
He'll give his time.
Yeah.
And refereed, and one of the, I think it could have been the game that, man, it was so exciting up there with Somerset and St. George's Earl Boys. It was so exciting. But to see him still giving back at an age where he said, man, we just sit down. But no, he still put on his black and white and go in there.
And he was instrumental in those games as well. He is very instrumental in making sure that the organizers had everything they needed. They never had to worry about the officials because he took care of that and making sure that the guys that officiated when those players were playing gave up their time and he made sure that everything was covered. And I had Larry Hunt on last night, and he was saying that
he's part of one of the organizers. Yes.
He said, you know, one thing about Mr. Marshall, he made sure that every detail was covered before the event took off because he wanted to make sure that the event was as special as the people that were putting it on, and he felt a big part of that. And you know, for that, he said he's going to miss Mr. Marshall's insight, and they're looking to do something in his honor for that trophy. So, you know, yeah. And
Earl, before we leave, Earl, I do want to mention, because both of us were present last Saturday at the Hamilton Princess for North Village 65th Legends anniversary.
Yes.
What a night of stories, what a night of nostalgia. I'm asking you, what was a highlight for you on that night? Because it was so many stories, and they talked about so much with the Triple Crown teams and the people that they honored. What was a highlight for you?
For me, was just the storytelling, just how the club got started, just how the club was able to maintain itself. We heard from the netballers. We heard from, you know, people that they weren't even into sport, but they were honored because they were into the club and made sure the club was able to sustain itself. So I think overall, it's the history, and you know, it's a bit, for me, it was a bit disappointing that a lot of the young people that are now representing the club, you know, missed out on that opportunity of hearing from the people that built the house.
Yes.
Now these young people have to sustain the house, but are they sure what the history is to make sure that they have what they need to sustain the house? And I think opportunities like that, when those folk are gone, they're gone and left you because you didn't take the opportunity to kind of, you know, get the message. they take all that history with them. But I'm glad that North Village and clubs alike do allow their historians and their past people to have a few words, and I'm glad I was had the opportunity to be there, because there's a lot of stuff that came out that night that I never knew about North Village. Yeah. I've had a few people, I've had a few of the deals on the walk down memory lane, and some of those stories, yeah, I reminisced about what they told me about those, but then there were others. There were so many others, and I think if they can continue that, I think, and encourage those young people who are now involved in the club, even some of those parents that have their youngsters involved in the club, just to get that history, to make sure that the club is able to sustain itself because of what these people have built. So that would be the one thing that stood out for me.
Yeah, that was my second time attending something like that and working out with them. And storage, yes, that's one of the major things. And what I always love to see when you have players, just their faces, to know that people honor them, even in the later years. Because a lot of times when they get in later years, they feel they're being forgotten, and to see, to see their faces, to see them soak up the atmosphere. But one thing that definitely stood out was one of the past presidents, Buddy Hollis.
Yes. Yeah, his speech was something powerful.
And it was something that he was saying regarding to that, a community club is not just on the field, right? These are family structures. These are rather, any club you go to, they basically came out of a family structure, right? So which you see that with, I know it happens down at PAC because with our foundation and stuff like that. But what was one of the major things he's trying to say, look, even if you don't play in the field, bring back your expertise to the club.
Yeah. Make the club better. Yeah.
Make the club better. You make the club better, you make the community better.
What did he say? He said he came out and he ran into a person named Gumbo Bean.
That's right.
And after facing Gumbo Bean in training, he decided, you know what? I'm better off in the administration side. So he contributed to the club. Yes. He contributed to the club, not necessarily on the field, but he gave his talent where he thought it was needed, and the club has benefited from it.
They will not be where they are at Bernards Park without him.
That's right. Researched, argued, fought, and they have succeeded in making sure that in the 90s they got that opportunity to play where they play today at Bernard Park.
And they're growing from that.
Yeah.
So that was the foundation that has led to, once again, carrying on from others, but also foundation for the young people who are flourishing from it. So I think, like I said, I'm glad, and I had some talks with. So I'll give you a joke, girl. I'll give you a joke at the end of the night. So after you left, we partied a bit.
Okay.
And we got down to the last song of the night. So Earl, at the last song of the night, for some reason, everybody wants to hear a certain song, right?
Yes.
I'm like, okay, one song. Then one song turned into two songs turned into three songs. I'm like, look, hey, the workers are looking at me side-eye. The maitre d' looking at me side-eye. Everybody's looking at me
side-eye when I left.
Right? So, but they want that song, right? So, Earl, I got this strange request. So, Jay, can you play Every Year, Every Christmas by Luther Vandross?
Oh, boy.
Are you serious? Right now? Like, yes, right now. Can you play this? I'm like, but it's against my religion to play it before Thanksgiving, any Christmas.
Well, Canada celebrated their Thanksgiving already, so you'd be all right.
Okay, so after I played it, right, one of the members of the Dill family came over and said, look, Jay, have you listened to all the words? I said, yeah, I listened to the words. He said, listen to the words. This is our family song. Whenever we get together, sisters, brothers, families, for birthdays in January, February, this is our family song. This is what we play this song all year round. I'm like, okay, now I get it.
Yeah.
So when we start talking about anthems and stuff like that, we might not understand why this team likes it Sweet Caroline or whatever, but it brings people together, right? So especially in England, everybody's got the well, it's Blue Moon, well, it's Glory, well, Never Walk Alone,
right?
But you hear that, and now you know where it came from. Now you start to understand it. That was something, like I said, I cringed. Obviously, I cringed, but then after being told the story about it, I definitely understood it, right? Because the deals and the remain, everybody's related. The graphs, everybody's in there somewhere. So it's not just one family; it's multiple families coming together, and they sing every lyric to the song.
Oh yeah. Well, that's the anthem, so they better do it. That's one of the first things they're taught as youngsters.
Yeah.
Every year, every Christmas.
In October.
Yeah, well, for some people, Christmas is every single day. They're blessed.
You true. You're absolutely right, man. Like I said, I love those opportunities because Earl, I'm a total believer in we need to tell our own story, and that's something that Saturday night. I hate to tell you, if you are a North Village fan, you missed out on something.
On hearing.
I know they're doing another one soon because I think those are the first inductees, and it wasn't just players either.
No.
It wasn't just players, but one of the highlights of the night. My man Goda.
Oh my goodness. The best part of the night for Mr. Goda was when they called out the raffle. And he went to the bathroom. And then he came back. By that time, they had reached
the next one. He came back down there.
He came back, said, what was that number? But one thing I could say, I think every single person in that place on Saturday night thoroughly enjoyed themselves. And I think other clubs could take that and kind of run with it and ask, how did you guys put it off? And make sure that their story, they tell their story. You gotta, as you already said, the only people that can tell the story is the people involved in the club. And they need those the outer folk to come back and be able to tell the story about the history of the club. And then I think some of these clubs will gain some more respect when the young people that are now holding up the club understand what the people before them had to fight to get to make life a lot easier for them. So I think that's the important part. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, Jay, bedtime.
Where's Norbert?
But going back to work.
Catch up, Norbert.
All right. Well, have a good night. Thank you, folks. We'll be back next week, Wednesday, with another edition of the Island Stat Sports Show. Enjoy your night.